Do you have any regrets? Choices that you've made in the past? Have you ever thought, what if I took a different path in life? Well, the Alters takes that concept and asks the question, what happens if you create an alternate version of yourself or multiple versions of yourself and have to survive on a deserted planet? Well, thanks to 11-Bit Studios, I was able to check out the game early and find out those questions for myself, but also ask a few of my own. What is this game? Is the Alters any good, and should you play the Alters? Here is my experience. The Alters has an interesting premise right from the off. Our main character, Jan Dobolski, crash lands on a strange planet with all of his crew dead. Being the only surviving member, he has to make it to base and figure out what to do. With the slowly approaching sunrise on the horizon, there's only a few days away that is going to wipe the entire planet. Pretty wonderful start, I would say. Upon finding a strange resource known as Rapidium, we find a lifeline. Using the quantum computer in the base, you have access to an additional timeline for yourself, giving you the ability to clone an alternate version of yourself based off another choice from an alternate timeline. This gives us the name the Alters, but what are they? Imagine for a moment different versions of yourself based on the choices that you've made in the past, the different lives you could have led. In the Alters case, Jan is creating new versions of himself from those alternate timelines, ranging from the choices he made as a child to the choices he's made as an adult, all leading to one place, the mission on the Dolly, the round circular wheel that's going to be our home for the next 20 to 25 hours or so. The reason you need to create Alters in the game is because it brings you a specific set of skills from those alternate timelines to help you survive on the mission. Doctor, scientist, miner, botanist, technician, with Jan being the builder as the original. They all have their own various gameplay benefits. A scientist is the only person that can research new items and key mission items. A botanist gets better effects in the greenhouse. A lot of these things that you've probably seen in other games before. But that isn't what is the most interesting part about the game. Every alter created has their own personality and set of memories from their own timeline. The scientist is like a Tony Stark smart person who decided to be a lot more competitive in his life and had me rolling my eyes repeatedly because they were super pretentious. Unlike the refiner who was laid back and decided to go and spend time on a refinery out at sea. Every alter has their own timeline that you can read and gain all of this information on, and I highly recommend that you do it when you play. It will help severely in the conversations that you have with them to kind of gauge their personality, whether they're rebellious, they're frustrated, they're gloomy, all of these different feelings that they have. Every alter also has their own motives, which won't always align with yours or even the other versions of Jan that you've created. But this plays a massive part in the joy in the game, because make the wrong choice in one alter's eyes and it can lock you out of using them whatsoever. Piss off enough of them and you could be in deep shit. I love this part of the game because it has made dialogue so much more interesting to engage with. Reacting to each of their personalities was something that I really enjoyed. Every time I made a new alter, it was something to be interested by. And the really fascinating part is, not only do they interact with you, they interact with each other around the base that cause in-game events to happen. Some really cool things, some really bad things. And on top of that, can kind of make you make decisions to kind of appease one of them, or just don't get involved whatsoever. There was numerous times that the technician would regularly have arguments with the scientist because one is more practical and one is more theory-based. You have to micromanage each alter, their needs, and how choices that you make will affect the overall group. And if you don't manage a few specifically, then you might run into a big problem like I did. Plus, the added benefit of watching them move around the base with their own autonomy, their own schedule, is also quite cool as well. Honestly, I was only disappointed that I couldn't have all of them throughout the entire playthrough, because there's only around 5 or 6 slots that you can have, so there was about 3 alters that I didn't even get to see. The alters I created were great, and I love that they all have their own story arcs that you can progress through a varying degree of tasks in the game, and they're also kind of related to the main narrative as well. There are levels of depth here that genuinely surprise me. A quick side note, Alex Jordan deserves a spot on the end of year awards here because he plays every single alter all with different accents and cadences, and sells every single role. He was a big reason why I connected with all of the versions of Jan in this game, so hats off to him. All of this is important because it leads into what makes the altars so damn good and the part of the game I love the most: meaningful choice. Outside of Jan and the altars, you would engage with about 4 or 5 characters off-world through a comm system. Each of them has their own history and motives to deal with. But what the altars does so well is make me question myself at every turn. Without spoiling, there is a key choice that you have to make at the end of Act 2, but instead of giving a clear good or evil option that most games give you, each option is rather grey across the board. There is no right option. And let me tell you, this game does not let you play both sides. It was a massive choice, and I had to sit for half an hour and weigh off all the pros and possible cons, and I still couldn't decide. Sure, there are other games that do this, but what makes the altars so different? The payoff. These big choices can lead to a cascading series of events afterwards. You could lose an altar, they could refuse to work you because they disagree with your decision. They could even get a bonus for working with you because they made the right decision. They can change their relationship based entirely off what you do. The payoff might not be immediate, but when it does hit, it's satisfying, which many games really fail to do. The gratifying feeling from making what you think is the right choice is the best, and just even be happy with whatever the outcome actually is. This meant that every conversation you had leading up to the final act of the game mattered. The amazing part about it as well is that you continue making these tough decisions right until the last finale, which you can make another important choice. It's like the game's testing you all the time, further leaning into the idea that every time you make an important decision in your life, there will always be a different outcome. I haven't tested it myself, but there's got to be at least like 5 or 6 different endings, if not more, of how the entire game plays out, with the different possible things that happen in Act 2 and Act 1 going into Act 3. It's sensational work, incredibly tense. It's a thought-provoking concept which the developers have executed flawlessly. The narrative alone is worth picking this game up, and then I haven't even talked about the gameplay yet. As for the rest of the game, it's separated into base management and exploration. On the exploration front, there are 3 semi-open world areas that you will explore throughout the game. They'll have the usual things: finding points of interest, resources, resource nodes, and these weird anomalies. All of these things that you'll find in these semi-open world areas are vital to the mission and surviving. You'll build mining outposts that you can connect via pylons to your base for power. Resources are key, and getting good locations of them are why you want to explore. Organics, rupidium, metals, minerals, it will all be important. Everything that you do outside of the base loops back around to the base management. Using the resources that you found from exploration, you will end up crafting important items for survival and progression. And it's not too dissimilar to what you've seen before in other games. Building modules and arranging them in this Tetris style area is pretty cool. Many of the modules have a workstation, and you can set up tasks for your altars to do and assign them to do it while you go out and explore more. In a way, it feels a lot like a 3D version of like Fallout Shelter, if you can remember that game, but with the added bonus of being able to leave the base. However, there is one thing that is a key synergy between base management, altar management, and exploration. That is urgency. What I mean by urgency is that there is a slow sunrise always chasing you. It's made apparent right from the start of the game. Once that counter gets down to 0 on the bottom right, it's game over. There is also a clock in the bottom left of the corner going through every day. The clock slowly ticks up throughout the day, meaning that every single activity that you do has to be worth doing. Researching a new item or a tool, that can take 6 to 14 hours, and if your altar only works 9 hours, then you're going to have to prioritize what you want. Need to mine a material for yourself, that's going to eat up valuable time. It forces you to prioritize quickly and efficiently, which is why the altars matter a lot. A lot of them are on the same shift pattern as you, between 9 and 12 hours, so you have to try and cram everything in and use them in different areas of your base, which is going to help you in the long run. Here's the fun part. The game likes to throw a lot of obstacles and spanners your way. If you don't manage your radiation properly or stay out too late, you will end up getting 3 bars and you will faint and lose a whole day. Magnetic storms can break modules which need fixing, which is precious time that you don't need to be wasting. Piss off an altar and suddenly they go from 9 hours a day down to 4 hours, or they get injured and then can't work at all. All of these things going wrong can cut into that precious resource that you have, being time. And your autos also play a part into this too, because a lot of them will ask for things to be built or crafted for their own purposes, which once again eats into your time. Delicate balance between utilizing your time right, putting the altars in the right place to use them effectively is important for success, and it's a key part of the entire game. I love this because the clock and the urgency of the sun, and sometimes you can't go out of the base, gives you these subtle nudges to push you in the right direction of being prepared, and being prepared quickly. You can't rest on your laurels. Every day matters, and it turns the game from a normal management sim into something so much better. I really love how they've implemented urgency here. It makes things tense on top of an already tense situation with whatever's going on in the narrative, and it makes the overall experience and loop really fantastic. After saying all of that and explaining to you what altars are, what this game is about, is the altars actually good? Hell yeah, it is. The level of depth in the narrative and the urgency of its gameplay comes together to make a great combo. I was really surprised how much I love this game, how addictive the loop would be, and if I had time, I would go back and see the other choices I could make. But we still need to answer the final question of the video. Should you play the altars? I'm sure you can expect at this point, I can fully recommend that you play the altars. It's a unique sci-fi experience that explores a really cool concept which I absolutely love, and I think you will as well. My playthrough was like 20 hours-ish long, and that was kind of a rushed playthrough, so you can easily get more out of this game. It's on multiple different platforms. It's also on Game Pass, I think, as well. And the really cool thing about it is that it's only retailing at like $40 or £30 in the UK, so go and support these devs and check out the altars. Thank you to 11-Bit Studios once again for giving me the chance to check out the game early. I really appreciate it, and thank you for watching the video. And if you've enjoyed this, leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel for more reviews and all different types of content. And as always, this has been It's Jimbo, and I'll see you guys next time.